Welcome back. Well, the journey to achieving herd immunity is still a long one for South Africa. While millions of jabs have been administered, there's still so many skeptics. So the Solidarity Fund has launched a campaign to encourage more people to get vaccinated. To look at the importance of this, Mathe Okaba, CEO of the Association for Communication and Advertising, joins me now for this conversation. Ms. Okaba, thank you so much for your time this evening. I mean, just talk to us a little bit about the campaign. I mean, the hashtag Roll Up Your Sleeve SA, significantly important, particularly during the time where we're trying to navigate as well as find victory over this pandemic. What was the inspiration behind it?
Hi, good evening. Good evening to your viewers. Faith, let me explain my relationship with the campaign. And my relationship with the campaign is I work in the advertising industry. The Solidarity Fund is the communicator of all things necessary about the pandemic and about what we need to do as responsible South Africans. I did not work on the campaign, but I must be honest with you, for me, that campaign resonated. It resonated because, for me, it's encouraging all of us as South Africans to do the responsible thing in order for our lives to move on and in order for us to go back to what we know as normal, what everybody's saying, the normal life. Now, we know we haven't lived a normal life in the past 2 years, and I'm going to count 2021 closed already because we're at the end of 2021. But what we need to realize as South Africans is for us to have that normal life, we need to encourage each other to vaccinate. So the campaign is truly encouraging South Africans, go out and vaccinate. Look out for each other. Look out for the next person. It's not only about me as Mathe, it's about me, Mathe, my neighbor, my family, the next person that I want to be around and congregate around. I need to be responsible and protect myself and protect the next person.
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking significantly to how, even though as the Advertising Association, you were not there to actually come up with the campaign itself, but you're there to support. And it speaks significantly to how private-public partnerships become now critical more than ever if we are truly to achieve a symbiotic relationship, but also one that we speak with a unified voice. There was a conversation that was held about a few weeks ago about how advertising companies need to come to the party. They need to come to the party more in assisting government to get the message across, because they know how to reach the public where government may actually not be able to do so in a more creative manner, as opposed to the way that advertising agencies and even private partnerships will allow to do so. Are you seeing that these collaborations now are finally coming together and are taking up more speed?
Yes, they are. I mean, the creator of the campaign is Joe Public. And in them creating the campaign, it's a private and public partnership, because this is a pandemic that's affected every single person globally. And it affecting everybody, we also understand South Africans have been impacted largely by this pandemic. I've personally had the impact. Both my parents passed away from COVID. So for me, I cannot sit back and just say, I'm not going to encourage the next South African to vaccinate, because for me, the public and the private partnership to push the vaccination conversation and to encourage people to vaccinate, it's important that relationship exists. And we don't do it in silos, but we do it in unison. When we do things together, the further we go. But when we do things in isolation, we're not going to get very far. It's going to take us longer to get where we need to go. Yeah. All of us want to go back to normal. And in going back to normal, it's about those relationships between the private sector and the public sector.
You know, they also say that you can have the best campaign, but the best campaign has to translate into actual behavioral change. Otherwise, the campaign proves itself completely ineffective. How then do we assure that actually we achieve that objective, that as creative as agencies are, as creative as we have copywriters and the like in this creative space, but it actually translates into South Africans going, hang on a second, maybe there's no reason for me to be hesitant or fear taking the vaccine. How then do you see that happening?
For me, what is important, it's about talking the language of the people, touching the people where it really matters. When you speak past people and you're not speaking to people, with people, and engaging, you're then going to miss the mark completely. So it is important that we don't leave anyone behind when we create messages that need to create an impact. Impact is only achieved by the heartstrings that we pull at and how we touch people to, like you said earlier, behavioral change is critical at this point in time, because there's no point in us having all these billboards and all these TV campaigns and all these radio campaigns, but not being able to touch people where it matters. It needs to matter to the consumer in order for the consumer to change the behavior. So for me, it's the how you communicate. If you're going to talk past me, I'm not going to hear you. But if you're going to talk to me and not at me, I'm more likely to hear you and therefore change my behavior and say, okay, I actually hear what Faith is saying. And in hearing what Faith is saying, I think she's making sense. So we need to make sense to the average human being on the ground who is impacted by this pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of just being able to articulate the campaign and just to speak to, if I was listening to this for the very first time and I came across the hashtag roll up your sleeve, what immediately must I come to? What realization are we trying to get at as advertisers, as the agency in itself, as the campaign in itself? What impact are you seeking that this will drive?
For me, it's about, it takes all of us to push this bus forward. I cannot push a bus that's stuck on the road by myself. If it takes me to push that bus is not going to go anywhere. For us to get somewhere, we've got to do it together. I cannot do it on my own. So me vaccinating on my own, I might as well not do anything. Every single one of us has to take this seriously and vaccinate. That's how we are going to make it. Because for me, what resounds for me on a personal level is like, does the vaccine kill me as the non-vaxxers talk about it? Or does the pandemic kill me? I might as well make the choice, let the vaccine kill me. Let me go for it and go and vaccinate and be protected, because that's what the vaccine is going to do for me. On a personal note, that's what it's going to do for me, is protect me. But me, myself, and I being protected is not enough. The entire nation, the entire population of South Africa needs to be vaccinated in order for us to go to some form of normal, to get to some form of normal.
Mathe Okaba, your words ring quite clearly. Thank you so much for your time this evening, from the CEO of the Association for Communication and Advertising. Thank you so much for your time this evening.